Illinois hobby group is asking, did Joe just pop our balloon? They report one of their balloons is missing in action after it flew over northern Canada. If this is true, our government under Democrats launched a $400,000 missile to shoot down a harmless $12 balloon. That makes perfect sense, only to Democrats. Here to react is retired Marine Corps Gunnery Sergeant and Newsmax contributor Jessie Jane Duff and retired U.S. Air Force Special Operations Commander and National Security Expert Major General Glenn Ignacio. Welcome to you both. So under Democrats, guys, our new strategy is to shoot things down without knowing what they are, while allowing known communist China spy balloons to come in and spy. Doesn't sound very pro-American to me. How about you, Gunny?
Well, it sounds like we have absolute chaos going on at the Pentagon, not just with the debacle that we saw in Afghanistan with the pullout that seemed to be so unrehearsed, even though we had 20 years to prepare for that mission. Now our military is having difficulty with offensive practices for our own or defensive practices when there's aircraft or unidentified objects flying over the continental U.S. NORAD's capability was on full display. They have one job, and here we are sitting back watching balloons go over the entire continental U.S., or we're shooting down balloons that we can't even recognize as probably being a $13 balloon. I mean, it is a chaos to see that the leadership cannot make better decisions and give better direction, and it makes everybody concerned because we know they're more focused right now on the pronouns and making sure that everybody understands gender equity versus that of combat readiness.
General, sorry, the pronouns got me. Look, I got to ask you because we are getting some of our sources telling us that Joe Biden was not telling the truth again, that some of these balloons did have ties to communist China. Either way, we know that one of these balloons did and was allowed to survey the entire country. That's a problem, isn't it, General?
Yes, it is. First of all, thanks for the promotion. It's just major. I always appreciate that, Chris. But the big thing about balloons is the difference in size. I mean, the spy balloon was 200 feet. Balloon itself was 200 feet big, and you know that's about 3 buses in length. That was a big platform. These other weather balloons are about 12 to 15 feet. I've ripped by them in flight, and you can notice it's a weather balloon, and it's pretty obvious. I think that, honestly, I feel that this is a big distraction from everything else that's going on in the country. Everybody's talking about it versus the investigations and everything in the Hunter Biden computer. But it does show weakness. We don't shoot down something that is significant and big. Execution has always been a problem with this presidency, as she said. And we're not taking action like the Chinese take action against us.
Well, Major, I got to tell you, I am hell-bent on perhaps maybe getting somebody that's competent in government, and I'm going to put you in for promotion. I'm going to recall you to duty, and I'm going to make you a general, sir, because goodness knows the ones we have. Okay, guys, CBS isn't covering for Joe Biden anymore. Take a listen to this.
Back here in Washington, there is breaking news tonight on that Chinese spy balloon. CBS News has just learned that U.S. intelligence watched the high-flying airship as it lifted off near China's south coast. That means the U.S. military had been tracking it for nearly a week before it entered U.S. airspace, longer than originally known. CBS's Nancy Cordes is at the White House. So, Nancy, they were watching this from the beginning?
Okay, Major, I'm going to stick with you. You told us in 2018 that China ran tests using these high-altitude balloons to launch hypersonic missiles. And we've talked about these balloons carrying suitcase nukes, EMPs, bioweapons. Given the threats, is there any excuse for Joe Biden and his regime to have allowed communist China to put one of their vehicles into our airspace at all?
No. Not at all. What you just said about the hypersonics and the other platforms, absolutely capable. You can be as creative as you want. The American Defense Identification Zone goes out about 12 miles. Now, they've been tracking this the whole time. And if these slow vehicles drop below the filters of the radar, their big surfaces can have what's called a skin paint, and they still show up on radar. Our defense identification zone at 12 miles, you come in there, there's an intercept. In fact, we did 2 intercepts this last week with Bear bombers coming from Russia. The decision to stop a vehicle with an unknown intent, possibly malicious, should be stopped and not allowed to enter American airspace. General Van Hulk has the call to do that with any aircraft, It may not be a rule of engagement for a balloon, but that decision should be made, because even if they drop something like the platform, a 2,000-pound object is going to damage many people.
Yeah, Gunny, I got to ask you, I only got about 45 seconds, but give me your impression. Is this civilian leadership, the left-wing Democrats, silencing military who know better than to allow something like this to happen, a direct threat to the United States, or do we have a compromised military brass?
Well, we have a mixture of both. Most of the brass in the military was promoted under the Obama administration. We do see that the left wing has embedded itself within the Pentagon, and those who speak out, we saw, were reprimanded over the Afghanistan withdrawal. Many leaders that I think who have honor should have resigned in protest for the incompetence that we're seeing. It is a discredit to our military. They're not making the recruiting goals. Not only that, they discharged close to 3,000 warriors over the VAX. Here we are now, not even combatant ready, which has been demonstrated by national security reports, and we are trying to make excuses as we shoot down non-viable weather balloons. I mean, it's a travesty, and there has to be change, and we have to get serious.
Amen, sister. Major Glenn Ignacio and retired Gunnery Sergeant Jesse Jane Duff, thank you both for your service to the country and your time today.